I was so shook up. I turned around to him. I said, "You ain't gonna believe what I just seen." He said, "What's that?" I said, "I just seen a Sasquatch."
Hello everyone, this is Bill. Thanks for watching. I think you're going to love this episode. This is a little different episode than what I typically do. A lot of times it's just more podcasts, but thought you guys might enjoy some video. And so where I'm going right now is I got a call from my brother, and he said a guy called him, saw him on the Travel Channel, the Alaska Triangle, and looked him up and told him about this crazy story that happened to him about 2 weeks ago. And so he said he was driving and saw this squatch run into the timberline. I don't have many details to provide yet, but he said it was very tall, it was blonde, it also was the color of bark, it had leaves in its hair, and it was carrying something, he thought. And so a few days later, they went back out to the same place. And this, again, it's off the side of a highway, and his son went into the timberline and got creeped out. I don't know necessarily that they understand what to look for as far as signs, and but we're going out there, we're going to see what we can find out. You know, when you're a researcher, investigator of Bigfoot, you have to put boots on the ground. And that's what we're going to do. So come along, and we'll see what we find. So enjoy. Take care.
All the time, and I like looking at deer, so I slowed down and looked at the deer. Well, this particular morning, remember what happened? Son was going to Stillwater.
Okay.
And I looked down there to see my deer.
Oh.
Well, this thing was carrying something. And it wasn't running, swinging its arms like I've seen these on TV.
Okay.
It was kind of jumping, skipping, like
boom, like
and
bounding.
By the time I got stopped, where I told my wife, I said, "Look down there. What is that? Look at that." And then I wondered, where the heck did it go? All of a sudden, it wasn't there. And I said, "What the heck?" I drive on. Thought about a couple of days. I said, "You know what? That's like we went under the road. That balloon pipe. We had to. That's the only place you could have went." Well, 2 or 3 days later, me and Jason were going there, and here's the wolves.
Yeah, I didn't tell my brother too. I did just a little bit. Tell him about the wolves. Yeah, the wolves.
There was probably 20 or 30 wolves.
Wolves. Yeah.
There was gray wolves, silver, and red wolves.
And you said how big how big did you say they were?
They're probably big as those Pyrenees.
Oh boy, about 150 pounds.
Yeah, they were big. I don't think I think those Pyrenees weigh about 90 to 100 pounds.
So when we're talking to Tommy, you know, it's kind of like pumas and cougars are not supposed to exist out here.
Well, yeah, they do.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah,
but I didn't realize they ran in packs that many.
My son caught some on his area right now. He's unloading hay. He got some on his deer camp.
Oh, he did?
He put out corn and stuff and took pictures of mountain cougars, mountain lions, bobcat, big bobcat, I mean big. And he couldn't believe it, but yeah, they're here.
So these wolves were just across the highway right in front of you?
We sat there, they wasn't afraid of nothing. I mean, they looked at us and just eased right on across. I told Jason, I said, the good Lord must have wanted me to see that.
Oh my gosh.
They went about the one there and said, "Dad, stop. I'm going to go down and see where that thing went."
Yeah.
He went down in there. I kept sitting up there waiting. I was waiting. I thought, what the heck? You know?
Yeah.
That guy probably come climbing out. Boy, it's steep coming up there. He said, "Dad, I'll say one thing. I'll never go back down in there again without a flashlight, 2 or 3 guys with guns."
Wow.
It worried him.
Now, would you say that this property, is this state property in here?
This over here is, yeah. Over here over
So we're in the clear if we go down here and just kind of swoop around.
That's the fence line up here. You see a fence line, that's state property. I used to work building roads and stuff, so. And on the other side, you see another fence. That's all state property.
So when you were here heading east, and this was about what time of the day?
About 10 o'clock in the morning somewhere.
And it was it coming kind of toward or at a broadside angle in front of?
Yeah, it was running along this gully here. A little gully goes down to these blue pipes.
Okay, so it was running down.
Yeah, it was going down. I thought it carried some kind of food or something, is what I thought.
It's
but
possible.
usually just a baby.
Well, it's possible because, I mean, some people, there's females, and they will, some people has said that they will see them carrying their babies.
Yeah.
And they carry them just like a human would.
What do you estimate the height?
Oh, man, I really couldn't tell. It being down that low.
Yeah.
I was looking down on it, you know, so I couldn't really tell. I know it's big. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And it was, could you describe the hair again to my brother?
Okay. Now, the hair on top of its head was kind of a blondish color up here on top. It got filtered down. And the rest of it, see those leaves out there, those trees?
Yep.
That was the color of the hair that going down his arms, his backs, and legs.
Like an oak tree.
That son of a gun, you could be walking through the woods and they could lay down in the damn grass and you couldn't see it. They'd lay on the ground, you couldn't see it.
Man,
I'm serious. That's how camouflage it was.
Wow.
I was just lucky to see what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, because that's an unusual time.
Yeah.
That people typically don't see.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was up there sticking in their dumpster.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know,
how far is that away?
This is not too far from there. This is not even
just up the hill.
Yeah, it's probably a quarter mile, maybe less.
Probably less than that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
from here up top of the hill, it's about a quarter mile.
I would like to think about putting a game camera in the entrance of that.
Oh, man, I want to do that so bad.
I'm thinking about going down there and doing it.
Yeah.
And just seeing what comes and goes.
If you could put it on top of that concrete.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I might take a look and see if there's any way I can wedge that game camera, just at least slide it in the mud there.
Everybody can see it.
Yeah, because it looks like an oak tree, kind of blends in.
Yeah.
And just see what's coming and going out of there.
I've been wanting to do that so bad.
So did he go into this flue here or this one?
Right there.
Did he notice any prints?
This is another hill here. It comes up another hill. And it goes back down again to another valley.
I remember. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
The creek that ties into that. But yeah, he went in right here.
So this, as soon as it starts to come down, is this area right here.
You'll see the valley. You look down there.
And we could probably...
You know what? Another thing, I haven't seen a deer down there since. I haven't seen a damn deer down there since I've seen that thing.
And you're used to seeing a lot of deer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why I kept looking down there. But...
Well, that's another good point that you mentioned. A lot of people will say, it's awful strange how I'm used to seeing deer in a particular area, and then when I see one of these things, I haven't seen deer, and they start kind of...
one of them and those wolves.
Yeah.
And I figured that those dang things were getting food when those wolves made a kill, they got to eat too. That's what I figured.
How far does that span underneath the road?
He said about 100 and some feet long. It's probably far enough where you can just make out a postage stamp size of light.
Yeah.
And that's about it. The rest of it's dark.
Yep.
And that's why...
There might be some prints down there.
It's a long ways. It might even be 200 feet.
Oh, wow.
Because it's going underneath this highway, which you get to think it slopes.
Yeah.
I might suggest if I was going to do that, send 2 or 3 men in here. I have one here, one here, watching. In case it decide if it's in there, you might decide to leave.
Yeah. True.
You don't never know.
Yeah.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Hey,
I'm Bill. Good to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, Lance.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're just chatting about the long flume. You said you went down in.
Yeah.
no, not him.
Was that
the
not?
other?
That was the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's the one that got the picture of the cougar
Oh yeah.
and the bobcats too. Tell him what you seen, son. What do you call it? Goat sucker, blood sucker? What do you call
The Mexicans call them chupacabras.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
them? His game camera took a picture of one.
Oh, wow.
You could tell us what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Really?
a dog.
How big was it?
But the head probably about that long. Pretty tall.
Wow.
But a little bit smaller than a guy
Where was it at?
over by Acre.
Was it had a lot of hair on it at all?
I had to strip down its back, and that's about it.
Really?
I'll when I get home, I'll get on the computer and send you the picture.
I said it was.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah. So this guy said that he saw a lot of coy wolves. He was shooting out a pond. They were just plinking, and there was a red wolf just walking on the back end of the pond. Wasn't afraid of the gunfire. And I said, "How big was it?" He goes, "Well, it was bigger than your average dog, but not as big as say a Canada wolf." And he said, "They'll tell you right now." He goes, "They used to be very prevalent in Oklahoma, but they deny that they're here, but they're here."
Game and Fish is doing a lot of doing a lot of repopulation programs that they're not telling anybody about. And they've been releasing cougars and mountain lions and elk and
Really?
pronghorn antelope and stuff like that. Just like all this land out here, Game and Fish in Oklahoma has all this land leased. It belongs to the Corps of Engineers, but Game and Fish leased it all here about 2 years ago. And they're using it for repopulation programs. And because of the animals that they're releasing largely prey on those types of animals, then you can't turn something loose without feeding it.
Right.
You know, so if there's not a good habitat there for them to live off of, then they're not going to thrive. They're not going to survive. And that's 99% of what's happened in Oklahoma with a lot of our, like the silver bears and the red wolves and stuff like that, is habitat destruction, which in turn destroys the wildlife and game species, which in turn, you kill the food source, you kill the animal.
What's the purpose of not telling?
There's a lot of fanatical people in the state of Oklahoma that don't like the idea of bears and cougars and
Okay.
stuff like that.
About 4 months ago, there was one across the road in front of you, and it's killed a goat for us.
That's interesting. That's a good map, though.
Well, thank you. That's a military map.
I was going to say, he was an engineer in the Marine Corps for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Really?
But
Now, you said that you also went into that.
right here, yeah, right there, that little store.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you went in there and.
There's a guy standing there, and I was so shook up. I turned around to him, I said, "You ain't gonna believe what I just seen." He said, "What's that?" I said, "I just seen a Sasquatch. Bigfoot, people call it." He said, "Oh, I believe it." He said, "I've seen 2 or 3 over in Kellyville."
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, man.
So tell me, Lance told me that you were watching the Travel Channel. Is that
Yeah,
right?
got his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You looked him up?
Yeah, they had him on Travel Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I come, but here's the thing, I've been looking for somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody out of Washington, called him, and he says, "Oh, yeah, you got him." Yeah, you sure do.
Yep.
That's all he said. Got your number to call. You use it at Walmart, sharpeners.
Yep, I was. And I would say, boy, you're tenacious.
Yeah.
Because you didn't call the toll-free number. He called the business phone. He got on Google and found the chiropractic number.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So, that's one thing, and I'm just kind of picking your brain here. And I'm just curious if we put up flyers in these little gas stations here and there and cafes, just, out in the way, if that would possibly...
Yep, I believe it would. I would have done that. See, if I'd have seen it, I'd have called.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
So that might be a campaign that we do just to these little
I
towns.
will give you my son's number. That's the time they went down there. They was rabbit hunting at night. He got down there and he said that they walked down the edge of the woods and they kept shining the light. Said he kept shining the light. Said there got a while something goes, whoo, whoo, like that. He thought it was an owl first. And then he said all of a sudden, it was whoo, 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 all around. He said, I asked him, I said, how many was it? He said, I don't know, Dad, but there was a bunch of them or whatever it was.
Oh,
They got the hell out of it.
now where was that at?
Right down the road here.
Has anyone been back there since at night?
Not unless they're poachers. For deer.
But no one's investigated that.
Oh,
like
no.
like someone like us that doesn't. I'm not looking to hunt. I just want to go down there and investigate.
Yeah.
No one's ever been down there, really.
Yeah.
That's several. That sounds like.
Yeah. Wow.
I told Jay, I said, son, that sounds like Sasquatch. Sound like a whole family of them.
I was going to say, if they're in an area and they're not really pressured, and they've got, I mean, if you look at the country, you've got probably all kinds of wildlife and food, and you got water, you got natural berries and nuts and raccoon and squirrel and deer,
rabbits,
turkey, rabbits,
people's chickens.
Yeah. I mean, you got the Golden Corral out here behind the house.
That's like their gate. Instead of it being opened, it was pushed in.
Oh, yeah, tell me about that. Yeah.
Her gate was pushed in, and she was missing 2 or 3 chickens. And she missed 2 or 3 chickens every night for, probably a week. She had over 100 head.
How long ago was that?
This just been here recently.
Really?
Yeah, here past 2 months. I'm going to be honest with you, those wolves scared me. They really did. The Sasquatch didn't so bad. It didn't bother me to see that.
Mm.
But about 2 or 3 days later, when Jason seen those wolves, I mean, you would be afraid too.
Yeah.
Because those things are dangerous.
Sure.
I guarantee they'll kill calves, goats, whatever they can get. My wife had about 60 head of goats out here. And I just see them things attacking them goats, kill them all.
It sounds like this would be a predator caller's paradise out here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Has anyone really predator called anything?
No, Willie's been talking about coming out here doing it, but
Because that's what we.
They know about that?
Well, we got a buddy on our team that I'll just. Long story short, he makes predator calls. He did back in the day when you would advertise in the back of these fur fishing game, type. And him and his dad made calls. And he's a welder by trade, but that's what he did on the side. He did some work for Johnny Walker and some other guys, and extremely gifted when it comes to calling. And he had his own game calls. And he made a game call that has 2 different frequencies in it. So it sounds like instead of the high pitch, rabbit in distress, it's like a fawn deer in distress. Well, the first time he used it was out there in western Oklahoma, and normally he has a buddy with him all the time. Well, this particular time he didn't. And I think this was back in 2013 or something like that. And he's got some favorite areas where he goes, and he went by himself, and he tried this call out, and that's when he called up this dogman creature. And what the landscape is, all the grays and the browns, and it's a little bit different out in western Oklahoma, and something black was coming in. I mean, he said he saw it from 1,000 yards out with a naked eye. He's like, well, that's strange. I never called in a bear.
yeah.
And this thing was coming in fast, and it was zigzagging. It was bouncing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, man, that's kind of big. So he's still looking at this with a naked eye, and then it runs down in this dry riverbed, and then there's a high point in that riverbed, and it stops about 400 yards out. Then it stands up. And he's like, whoa. And he's looking at this thing, and this thing is kind of bouncing. Its nose is up. And then he's got a 223, which is really not his coyote rifle that he normally brings. So he had a low power, and he puts it up there, and he's looking at this thing. So he's like, what the heck? So he puts it on 24 power. It'd be like me to you. And he said that's when he got scared, because he's got that mil-dot reticle. He can get sizes. And he doped it in twice, and he said the shoulders were about 4 to 4.5 feet across.
Good God.
And he said that the head was like a 5-gallon bucket, and then it scared him because he could see the ears twitching, trying to find that sound again. And then he was looking, and it had a canine face, The snout wasn't really long as it was just a little short, but the teeth on the thing were massive. And he said on each hand, it looked like a giant raccoon hand. And you could see the webbing here, but it had digits and it had long claws. And it was just kind of standing there with the arms kind of in a semi-bent position. It had dog hocks, and it was just kind of sniffing and looking around. Well, it couldn't find the sound, and he wasn't going to call again. So what it did is it walked. It came in on all fours. It stood up. Then it walked over on two legs and to the riverbank edge, and it jumped up about 4 feet up and was still looking around. Like, where'd that sound, and he was trying to sniff and smell. And the wind wasn't exactly in his favor, but it was very light. And finally, it must have caught wind of him. And then it just, boom, it took out running. And it didn't run toward him. It ran kind of crossways, not in the direction it came from. It actually, I think it went
Ran on 2 feet?
It ran away on 2 feet.
Oh,
Just
man.
as comfortable as it did on 4 legs. He said, and it ran.
Its tail was like a dinner plate size.
He said that it was so puffy, it was like this big, and it was about that long. And he said, what was strange is that you were discussing this a moment ago. You know how a man will run, left leg, right arm to maintain this balance as it's running, as a man's running. Well, this one had its left arm was kind of like this with its hand, and its other arm was down by its side, and it didn't do this. It just ran. Its legs were doing, it was bounding.
Yeah, that's the way this one did.
It was doing like 50, 60 feet a bound.
Yeah.
And he said it ran, it just was like pushing out, and its tail stuck straight out like a rudder.
Oh.
It was really kind of odd looking. He said, but it cleared about 250 yards in about, he said 10 to 13 seconds.
Good thing he didn't walk out me, because there wouldn't have been another bullet left in that gun.
Well, what he did,
It had a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
he said what he did, he had 5 in the chain.
Kill it, then find out what it is.
And he reached down and he switched out magazines. He said, man, I don't have enough gun. So he reached down and put that 20 clip in.
Yeah.
He said, all I can hope for is if it gets within range, I'm just going to head shoot as much as I can.
Yeah.
And he's a really good shot. So it scared him. So he said that's the first time he backed out of an area. He was like this, and he backed out. And
we recorded that story if you want to.
yeah, we recorded that story.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to remember which story. I'll send you. I'll email you the link. But anyway, he's on our team, and he's a predator caller, and we've been looking to call this thing up again.
How far is this area roughly from here?
Well,
It's 5 miles to.
yeah, it's not that far.
Okay. It's
Right.
interesting about that dumpster.
That's
wonder-
probably why.
What day of the week was that, if you remember?
I think it was on Monday when I seen the Sasquatch.
Thing.
But it's probably looking at that dumpster.
Well, if the dumpsters are hidden on the back side or somewhere, probably.
Yeah.
If they're easy access.
Well,
which
maybe
I'm sure-
that's what it was holding. Maybe a
a bunch of food.
bunch of food.
That's plausible. That's very plausible, depending on, it doesn't really matter where the dumpsters are. If it's a Sunday and he's been
Right.
doing it the whole weekend, there's nobody over there probably.
That's
Now,
a good point to have what he was saying, to have someone on the other side. Because do you want to go down there today? Or
yeah, I like to tell you what.
go down into the
Yeah. Just don't take anything with us, no bags or anything.
Right.
And just
Dump and carry. I mean, that's,
yeah, you can do that. What are they going to do? It's on state property. This is state land right here. Anyone?
Yes, it is. All the way up that fence. So there's his number. You can call him. He's one to help with me when I seen the wolves.
So the gentleman you just heard, well, his wife led my brother and I outside to show us where their chicken fence, which was reinforced by steel, was literally bent halfway down the fence.
Well, I told him, I said, maybe it was a bear. I know a big old mare caught her foot in one of them before, and it took an X pound to get him out.
So this was bent all the way down.
all the way down double.
Was there any hole up in here that was?
Oh, yeah, it's all a while back.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
A few weeks earlier, around the time of this incident, she told us that she heard what sounded like an evil laughing from a woman. And this place is really out in the sticks. You definitely don't want to be roaming here at night. Of note, the place along the highway where the witness that we spoke to saw the Bigfoot is about 5 miles from where he lives, which is where we did the interview. So this place is definitely real, no doubt.
The straight that we kind of with that black looking.
So, Lance, go ahead. This is the area where the gentleman that we spoke with saw the Sasquatch running. And go ahead, Lance, and kind of recap what he told us.
He said, well, he was driving from the town direction we're facing, and we just pulled off on the side of the road, so he'd be heading toward another town outside of Tulsa. And it was about 10 in the morning, and he said he saw something bounding down here off into the ravine, heading down toward the bottom. And when he saw it, it was bounding. It was almost like a hop. It was almost like a runner's hop. It was bounding. And so it was taking some big strides, and it had something in its hand. It had both arms kind of folded around its front like it was holding something. And now behind us to the west, up on the hill, he said the gentleman had enough insightfulness to say, well, there's dumpsters up there. It may have been in the dumpster looking around. So that may be possible. I didn't think about a food source up there, but it's not that far.
You see how vast this land is? I mean, there's just trees as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Man.
So down here, off this ravine, off down in here, what we can't see is right in the very bottom, there is a creek. I'll scoot up here.
Did his son go down off into this area here?
Yeah, his son, they pulled over right here, and his son went underneath this culvert. And there is a concrete drainage from the underneath this highway. There's water down there. Right where that ends down here below, there's a concrete system. And that's where we need to go down there and investigate.
I didn't realize there's a creek down there.
Yeah, there is a fence. Yeah, I see the fence. So between here and that fence is state land. So we can go down there. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
So whoever has that other property in there is private, I guess.